Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay, sweet. All right.
Sweet.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for taking your time to interview to do this little questionnaire I've got here.
No problem.
Um, okay, so first, if you want to just tell a little bit about what you do and how long you've been in the business.
Okay. I work for Coloplast and I am a territory executive for a medical supply company that I cover. Let's see, my territory actually just changed. I cover southeastern Idaho and all of Utah and the southwestern portion of Wyoming. And I call on urology clinics, spina bifida clinics, and spinal cord injury centers. And I sell a range of continence care products for those patients, including catheters, transanal irrigation products, male external catheters, and other collection devices. So that's what I do. I've been doing it for this February, this next year, it'll be 19 years. So quite
Wow.
a while.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's super cool. And that's quite a big area to cover too. Um, let's see. Okay, and then how long have you been using sales platforms?
Gosh, I mean, a variety of different platforms in my tenure, but
Mhm.
SalesForce.com, basically, we've been using it for about 5 years now.
5 years
So,
now. Okay.
yeah, it's before that, we had an internal platform that we were using um, for CRM management. So,
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. And what do you think? Do you think it was beneficial when they switched over to Salesforce? What's the best thing about Salesforce? Does it help or is it a hindrance? What do
well,
you think?
honestly, it's it's kind of one of those things, right? It's a necessary evil, and there's multiple reasons for having a customer relations management tool. Um, Number one, for all the contacts, right? That's an important thing. So if you have a rep leave, you have all the contacts, you have what's been done in the in the territory in the past history. Um, Honestly, once they moved over to Salesforce, the thing that we like the most about it is the ability to do sample orders and all that from the field rather than from like sitting in front of our laptop. And so that
Mhm.
was the most immediate change that was actually helpful and positive. The other nice thing was we could do Salesforce from our phones, our mobile phones, whereas the previous one we had to do on our laptop.
Okay.
So those are a few of the positive things. A few of the negative things is there's so many different levels in the platforms, depending on what capabilities your company wants, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that's one of the frustrations is they just added some stuff a little while ago, and we're like, why didn't we have this from the get go? You know, and
Okay. Yeah,
so there's different levels of what you're paying for as a company,
okay.
and I guess it's just like anything, it would be nice to just kind of have it all at first instead of, oh, we're going to give you this, down the road or this or upgrade that. But
hmm Okay, gotcha. And what were they able to add that you wish you had before?
they were able to add some shortcuts and things that made sense for our business area.
Okay.
Um, they just accessibility, I think is important. Um, Honestly, the whole logging calls and opportunity management stuff is kind of a pain in the butt. I know it all funnels down to, metrics, KPIs, et cetera, et cetera. But for a sales rep, we just want to get out and do our job. And honestly, I don't utilize Salesforce to look at um, my opportunities and all that. it really is customer management of contacts. I mean, you can put notes in, but very rarely do I ever look back at the notes from calls
Mm-hmm.
um, to
Okay.
see what you did, So really, it's nice to be able to click on a customer, send them samples. It's nice to be able to um, do that. But other than that, it's just kind of busy work.
Yeah.
I'm just giving it to you straight.
No, I like that. I like straight up. Okay. So yeah, it's kind of nice for managing, but as far as getting work done, it might kind of be a little bit of a hindrance there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like you get your day done, and it's like, oh, the last thing I want to do is log all my stinking calls.
Yes,
And it's what it is.
that's true. Okay, gotcha. Um, okay. And then does Salesforce, are you able to use it with coworkers or your boss? I know you mentioned putting in reports and
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean, we when we're in Salesforce, like I just did some opportunity management stuff, and I
Mhm.
had to chatter Brianna, the gal that's in charge of our Salesforce management, and I had to chatter her and say, hey, these accounts that are in my targeting list shouldn't be there, or this one should be there, and my manager had to approve it, the changes, and so yeah, we kind of work interchangeably with it. But other than that, I mean, my coworkers that are in different business areas, um, like there's a skin and wound guy, there's an ostomy guy, there's a surgical urology gal. They all have the same accounts that I do. They just have different contacts in them. And
Okay.
so it's kind of interesting to see, like when I'm going to log a call, I'm like, oh, well, the surgical urology person was there last week. So
Mhm.
that's kind of interesting, but it's more interesting than useful,
Yeah.
a lot of times. So
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Um, okay. And yeah, that's good to know. Um, do you feel like there's different sales platforms out there that you'd rather be using?
um I don't know. I mean, I know there's some other ones out there that are good.
Hmm.
Salesforce kind of happens to be, I think, the one I have the most experience with just lately.
Okay.
A lot of companies kind of had their own, but more and more we're seeing people go to nationally recognized ones like Salesforce. I mean, a lot of my uh, like other dealers and manufacturers that I work with, they use Salesforce as well. So it kind of seems like that's kind of the premium one. But like I said, there's different levels that upper management's paying for. So you kind of have, I guess you just have to hope your company's using the one that has the most accessibility and most amount of advantages, all that kind of thing.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, so there's different levels for gotcha.
Accessibility. I mean, when you look down through Salesforce, there's just like so many things. And I'm like, oh man, I'm glad I don't have to do all that. I mean, some of it's
Yeah.
just a lot.
Yeah, I was able to go through like an introduction process to Salesforce, and
No,
it was a bit overwhelming. But do you
so many,
find yeah,
so many drop boxes and so many things. It's like, oh my god.
yeah. Um, do you happen, I mean, do you use any extensions at all? Do you have any, or is it just regular old Salesforce that you use?
Extensions, as in, I'm not familiar with that terminology.
Like different programs, I don't know, they just have so many things in there. What's like
So
the main one or two things that you use
that we
in
use.
Salesforce?
So
Yeah.
so we use in Salesforce. I mean, I just pulled it up.
Hmm.
The main thing we use is calls for logging calls, um, and then we use opportunities, and then of course we use accounts, contacts, and orders. Um, we are also using ShowPad as I guess it's kind of an extension to
Okay.
SalesForce, but it's our literature. Um, we can send links to our literature pieces, et cetera, et cetera. So that's, I guess, you would consider an
Okay.
extension. ShowPad is. You can send
Yeah, for
experiences, those
sure.
types of things.
Okay, cool.
We also actually use Power BI. I think that's an extension, but I don't usually access it through Salesforce. It's just a separate um, like app. ShowPad is as well, but we're supposed to be linking our calls to ShowPad experiences, but I don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's too much.
Yeah. Sometimes it's too much for being efficient, right? That's interesting. Okay. Okay, well that pretty much answers all my questions I've got here. Um,
Okay. Cool.
so yeah, that was really useful. Thanks for your insight. It's
But I
kind
am
of
a little bit of a lone wolf. I'm the usually the last to adopt something if I don't see it being super useful. But
mhm.
sometimes, these people need to push back a little bit on these changes that are just busy work and don't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm kind of that
Yeah,
guy. You can imagine that, Josh.
yeah. Well, yeah, you're pretty good at what you do. So I'm sure you
I did
found that balance.
I did win an award this past week. I don't know if it's in here or not. The Legend Award, because I've been with Colopas
Good.
so long. I've been successful. And it was actually a bit of a shocker, but yeah, I won an award called the Legend
That's
Award.
sweet.
So kind of funny.
That's
I had to
awesome.
laugh, and everyone was like, the legend," and I was like, yeah, I always knew I was a legend in my own mind, but apparently,
That's
so.
really cool.
Anyways,
Awesome.
well,
And
cool,
how
man.
long, yeah, and quick question, how long did it take you before you really felt comfortable at the company that you're in till you were to the point where kind of no stress when you come to work, or do you still have
Oh,
stress?
dude, it's constantly changing. I mean, that's the thing about medical sales or sales in general is it seems like there's always change. I mean, I stayed. We had our national sales meeting this week, and I stayed for an extra day and a half because I'm part of a new pilot that we're trying. It's basically a hybrid position. So, and
Wow,
I've been a hybrid before where I did skin, wound, ostomy, and continence. I've done just continence. I've done just skin and wound. I mean, I've had lots of different roles. I started out as a sales and service rep and then was promoted to a territory manager and then was promoted to a senior territory manager and then territory executive. So yeah, lots of different roles, lots of different territories, lots of different geographies. So in the 18 years, it hasn't been boring. I'll tell you that much. It's constantly changing all the time. So,
cool. Nice.
and it's constantly in sales. It's constantly stressful. You always have a number. It's always stretching you. It's always, moving you to do better, to get more customers, to push the business along. So yeah, I don't think you can say you don't have a stressful job. It's always somewhat stressful because you always have
Yeah.
a number.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure. Okay, and last question, what would your advice be to someone like me who's just getting started in the sales industry?
I would say get some experience um, selling business to business or business to individual, whether it be printer sales or I mean any type of sales that can kind of get you some experience because that's really what it comes down to. Unless you have a company that's willing to get entry level people and bring them in, like I was luckily able to do. Um, but yeah,
Mm.
that's tough to break into. That's probably the biggest issue is just trying to get your foot
Yeah.
in the door. So the more experience you have and that you can show proven results, the better. So that's my suggestion.
Okay. Sweet. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kevin. That was perfectly
Cool.
on the dot.
All
15 minutes.
right.
Hey,
Hey
thank you
there.
so much. Thanks for the words
Yeah,
of
dude.
wisdom too. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Tell
Perfect.
Desiree hi.
All right. Okay,
Okay.
take
See you,
care.
man. Okay,
Bye.
bye.